Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. This is quite interesting. InfoWars' Alex Jones accuses Joe Biden of creating deadly tornadoes using government weather weapons. That's right. Alex Jones suspects that President Joe Biden used government weather weapons to create the deadly tornadoes. What a crazy conspiracy.
The question is, did Biden last February this year order the power turned off in Texas? They did officially. They wouldn't let them up the power.
Really? That's
Now,
crazy.
we know that. So the question is, did they use weather weapons to cause the tornadoes? That's a legitimate question to ask.
I'd have to agree with Alex Jones. That is a legitimate question to ask, but people are saying that it's a conspiracy theory, that it's false. It states here Michael Mann, director of the Earth System Science Center at Penn State University, said on Monday, "We tend to call these things natural disasters, but this isn't a natural disaster. This is a disaster that was exacerbated by human-caused climate change." It then goes on to state the speech was clearly discussing future technologies that did not yet exist, which had caught Mr. Brennan's personal attention because they could lead to future conflicts and geopolitical tensions that the CIA might have to navigate. I like that. Discussing future technologies, stating that these technologies don't exist and they can't control or weaponize the weather. Weaponize the weather or control the weather? That's nonsense. That's just a conspiracy and not true. But this is the thing I find interesting is that back in the Vietnam War, there was a thing called Operation Popeye. It states that Operation Popeye was a military cloud seeding project carried out by the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War in 1967 and 1972. That's right, Operation Popeye's goal was to increase rainfall in carefully selected areas to deny the Vietnamese enemy, namely military supply trucks, the use of roads by 1. Softening road surfaces. 2. Causing landslides along roadways. 3. Washing out river crossings. And 4. Maintaining saturated soil conditions beyond the normal time span. That's right, so the US military back in Vietnam actually tried weather manipulating or using weather as an act of war, as in Operation Popeye, where they would seed the clouds so it would cause more rain, cause like all these problems for the Vietnam military. When I come across articles like this, China spent millions on a shady project to control the weather ahead of the Beijing Olympics, and dozens of other countries are doing it too. It states that this summer, China set aside $30 million for a controversial project that involves shooting salt and mineral-filled bullets into the sky. Their mission to make it rain, and this was posted on July 29th, 2016. Then there's other articles that states China leads the weather control race. That's right. China is actually in the lead of controlling the weather. And this other article, which is quite concerning, it says that China is launching weather control machines across an area the size of Alaska, which could actually impact the whole country of India. That's how massive the scale is. The article states China is launching the world's largest weather control machine, the ability to modify the weather in an area similar to the size of Alaska. China has never shielded away from doing things on a massive scale, and this is yet another example of the Chinese government working on an unprecedented scale. And this was all back in 2016 and so forth. And now there's an update saying China is rolling out an enormous weather modification system. Experts say it could spur conflict with neighboring countries. That's right, this week the Chinese government announced that it plans to drastically increase its use of technology that artificially changes the weather. It states cloud seeding technology or systems that can blast silver molecules into the sky to prompt condensation and cloud formation has been around for decades, and China makes frequent use of it. But now China wants to increase the total size of its weather modification to test an area to 5.5 million square miles by 2025. So they state that Alex Jones is crazy and a conspiracy theorist and all this stuff about this, and the chances are that he's probably wrong. The government, the US government, Biden, isn't using weather weapons to control, and cause deadly tornadoes, but they do use weather modification to cause rain and other stuff. But I just proved through the other articles that China's been doing this as well as other countries. So if they're going to use it for good, there's the potential that they could also be using it for bad. What I find quite interesting, though, is that when you Google search making a giant tornado machine, there's actually small tornado machines. There's even all these tutorials on YouTube on how to do it yourself, make all these small miniature tornadoes to the size of a person. But when you start to dig a little bit further, there's a thing called the Vortex engine. And the concept of the Vortex engine or atmospheric vortex engine, AVE, basically creates giant tornadoes or giant twisters or like cyclones. The fact that we can make all these smaller ones just with, at home and all that stuff, I could speculate that if the government or military, the US, China, anybody could recreate these on a larger scale, they could even possibly use them up in space with satellites and create twisters or tornadoes. I honestly live by the possibility that anything's possible, and if you can do it at home, it can be replicated on a huge giant scale. Like I said, on YouTube, they have all these tutorials on how to make a small scale vortex slash tornado, and that there's even places where they have giant ones doing it. As you can see here, the Vortex test of 2014, they're testing it in like a tube. But the thing is that, like I said, this could probably be recreated on a larger, massive scale. And there's even articles like this that say Peter Thiel gave an inventor $300,000 to develop man-made tornadoes. That's right, Mike Cud and his company AVE Tech are building a prototype of its atmospheric vortex engine to create tornadoes about 40 meters high that can produce energy from waste heat. So it looks to me that we can easily recreate tornadoes on a smaller scale and a larger scale, and it's possible that they could be using these as a way of war. They could be using them for good, and they could also be using them for bad. There's no proof that Alex Jones' claims are 100% real, but just doing a little bit of research, as you can see, that we can create man-made tornadoes, but it does use a lot of power and energy. But in saying so, if they really wanted to, I could speculate, and it's safe to say that they could probably create tornadoes using some sort of devices, and as well as probably possibly drones or even satellites if they really wanted to. I believe anything's possible, and from just doing the research, it seems like China is way far ahead of this than any other country. And Alex Jones is claiming that it was Biden in the US. I don't think that's the case at all, unless they were cloud seeding to get rain. And it's kind of like, a reaction to the reaction, and it's just by accident. Or China is possibly using their weather machines or weather weapons to possibly, destroy as well as cause these weather formations in the U.S. It wouldn't surprise me. We are at a Cold War right now, so anything is possible. And if you don't believe me, there's tons of articles saying that the U.S. Cold War with China, and they basically explain what's going on there. And this is the thing, if you don't know what a Cold War is, it states the Cold War was cold because the war contained conflict between nations, but it did not involve direct military action. It was pursued primarily through economic and political actions such as propaganda, but did not contain any direct violence between nations. Therefore, the Cold War remained cold. But that's not saying that they're using other means to, cause like a war or destruction in other countries. Just because you don't invade a country with a military and army presence doesn't mean there's a lot of other stuff going on. So yeah, I came across this and I wanted to share with all of you. Alex Jones might actually be onto something. People always say people are conspiracy theorists or they're crazy. I remember when COOF started happening, everyone told me that I was crazy and it wouldn't happen. And look at where we're at now with that. And it's kind of funny also that the military said UFOs were a conspiracy, and now they're spending billions of dollars to research and figure out what they are. And now that they claim that they're real, so it just goes to show you that maybe some conspiracies could be in fact real, and anything could be possible. So yeah, it's just my own thoughts and opinions about this, and I wanted to share it with all of you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about this in the comments below. Do you think the weather could be controlled, or the weather could be used in a war effort or war weapons or whatnot? Do you think that's a possibility? Also, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, as well as click that subscribe button down below for more. It takes 2 seconds. It's that little button. It helps me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe. God bless you all. Take care, and peace out.